Oh, Sarvadharmasthapakatvam Sarvadharmasvarupakaha Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishna Teachings. O establisher of all the faiths, embodiment of all the religions, the greatest teacher among all the teachers, O Sri Ramakrishna, my salutations to you. Well, Sri Ramakrishna teaching us about the two types of people, the worldly and the realized souls, the perfected souls. And Sri Ramakrishna said, gave us that example of the collyrium of love for God being put by the gopis, that they start seeing Krishna everywhere. That is what happens the case with the people who are inclined towards devotion to God. Those who have that utmost zeal for the God realization, they put in this collyrium of prema bhakti, of the knowledge, of the raga bhakti, of the devotion, and they start seeing the Lord, they start seeing the Divine Mother everywhere. They see the Brahman in all the beings. So this is the difference between the bound souls and the free souls, the perfect souls. Bound souls, Sri Ramakrishna told us, they are like the silkworms. They get engaged in their own cocoon, which they build with so much of love and so much of affection and so much of attachment. They create that cocoon, and ultimately all these silkworms, they die within that cocoon which they have created out of love, affection and attachment. But Sri Ramakrishna said there are souls who cut away from this bondage, who cut away those rarest of the rare silkworms, the most exceptional cases of the silkworms. They are not attached to this creation of their own. This samsara that they are in, they are not attached to it. Although they might think that they have created it with their own efforts, with all the love and affection and attachment, but they are ruthless in cutting off that attachment. They are extremely ruthless. Getting detached, they just cut off those cocoons and set themselves free. They are not to be bound again. The bound souls, Sri Ramakrishna said, they are deluded by Maya. They come under the influence of Maya and get attached to woman and gold. But the free souls, they don't have any attachment at all. They don't even look at these allurements, these temptations. For them, my God, my Lord, my Mother, that is the only attachment that these free souls can get into. Free souls are not under the control of woman and gold. Sri Ramakrishna clearly says these free souls, they have got nothing to do with lust and greed. They have nothing to do with the 6 passions that attach them to the worldly attractions. They are out of it. And Sri Ramakrishna says, but these cases are so few and far between, very few, 1 or 2 kites from the bunch of the millions of kites that Mother Shama is holding set themselves free. It is the Maya that deludes. Only few become spiritually awakened and are not deluded by the spell of Maya. Maya's spell cannot touch them. And we saw that example of that Sri Girish Ghosh always used to give about Swamiji and Durgacharan Nag. One with such a highest stature of spiritual wisdom that he can never get trapped in the net of Maya. And Nag Mahasaya, so humble, so little, so much devoted, that with his minuscule ego, his ego is shattered to the level of 0, to the level of just a minute fraction. And Maya cannot catch this Nagababu also. So this is what happens with the realized souls. They don't get trapped under the spell of Maya. Now Sri Ramakrishna is going to teach us about some more categories of these perfect souls. Even among the perfect souls, those who are liberated, those who don't get trapped by the net of Maya, there are different kind of categories. Now, Sri Ramakrishna says, first of all, let us talk about the two types. Sri Ramakrishna says there are two classes of perfect souls. The souls that we have seen, those who don't get trapped by the clutches of Maya. There are two types. Those who attain perfection through spiritual practice. One category is they have to struggle. The seekers, the mumukshu category, they have to struggle and practice and practice and practice, and one fine day they may reach their goal. They reach their goal, no doubt, but it may take some time, it may take a long time, it may take lifetimes, life after life after life, but they are so adamant. They are so wonder-struck to their path. They don't deviate. They know, if I am not succeeding today, tomorrow I will succeed. If I am not seeing any ray of hope today for my success, that doesn't mean I will leave this path and go to the path of worldliness. No. Their struggle continues life after life. Their focus always remains the same, that we have to attain the God realization. And they practice and practice and practice. Their entire lifetime is into the spiritual practices, in the austerities, in the sadhana. So they are one type. They have to make an effort. And then Sri Ramakrishna says there is another category. There is another class of perfect souls, those who attain it through God's grace. Suddenly, God will shower grace on those people. They might be bound souls. They might be very harsh seekers for that matter also. They might not have committed any spiritual practices, any spiritual disciplines. And all of a sudden, they are showered with God's grace. Like the Kripa Siddha Sri Ramakrishna had talked us about. The Kripa Siddha, he wants that person might not have performed any austerity, might not have performed any japa, might not have performed, even looked at the image of the God. He might be at one point of time steeped in worldliness. But suddenly, this person is the receiver of the God's grace. Suddenly, God somehow just showers His grace upon this person, showers His blessing upon this person, and this person suddenly gets that illumination. And we start wondering, oh, this fellow who was a wretched case, this fellow who was once upon a time the vilest of the persons, now look at him, what a change. All of a sudden, this all of a sudden factor comes into effect when there is a sudden grace of God on such a person. Girish Chandra Ghosh, for that matter, the live example during Sri Ramakrishna's time. He was the most wretched person at one point of time. There may not have been any kind of sin which Girish Chandra Ghosh did not commit, but he came in contact with Sri Ramakrishna, his great guru, and there was a sudden, not sudden, but there was a great amount of transformation in Girish Babu's life. Same thing happened in the case of Kalipad Ghosh, Dana Kali. So there are instances where people who have led the evilest kind of life, people who have led immoral kind of life, suddenly God showers His blessings on them. God showers His grace on them. And then we start seeing the symptoms of the God attainment in them. Sri Ramakrishna told us. He had taught us that when a person starts getting forward on this path of spirituality, getting forward on this path of devotion, we notice some changes in him. We notice some signs. These people who are almost near God realization, they start exhibiting some symptoms. Symptoms like dispassion towards the worldly attractions, discrimination between the real and the unreal. They always reason it out. This is not real, I'm not going after it. This is temporary, I'm not going after it. This is ephemeral, I'm not going after it. They only seek the real, the permanent, the nitya. So that those kind of changes, they become compassionate towards all the beings. Suddenly, there might be a time when the same person, he is so much arrogant, he is so much creating, all kind of troubles for people, putting people in danger. That might be this person, and suddenly, as the God's grace is showered on him, the compassion for all the beings just gets ignited in his heart. He is no more a dangerous person. He is no more a person who is going to harm others. He is no more a person who is going to think ill of others. He develops compassion for all the beings. Now, these are some of the symptoms Sri Ramakrishna had taught us, that a person starts acquiring as he starts progressing on the path of God realization. Almost he is on the verge of attainment to the ultimate delight. He is almost on the verge of becoming one with his chosen ideal. Till then he might not have had any ideal also, but with the grace of God, he gets one. And he starts progressing towards it. So these are the two types that Sri Ramakrishna has taught us. Those who have to practice. Life after life, they will spend their lives in spiritual practices and spiritual disciplines, and then they attain the state of perfect souls, not to get bound by the trap of Maya. And there is this another category of the sudden transformation towards God realization. So these two types Sri Ramakrishna has spoken of here, and then here he gives an example. It is like some farmers irrigate their fields with great labor. Some farmers, when they are cultivating their crops, they have to put in a lot of efforts. They have to bring water from canal to their fields. They have to dig trenches to get that water. So many efforts are involved. So there are some farmers who irrigate their fields with great labor. Only then can they grow crops. Otherwise, without water, how can crops grow without irrigation? So this is the type of seekers. This is the type of mumukshus who have to struggle very hard, who put in lots of efforts in bringing water to their field for irrigation. They don't have to go, but then there are few who do not have to irrigate their fields at all. There are others who don't make any effort to irrigate their field, to draw water from the canal, from the river to the canal to their fields, through trenches, through the water pathways. No, they don't do. They are so lazy for that matter. They don't even make any effort to irrigate their fields. And what happens to these some of these kind of people? Suddenly it rains. It rains and entire crop gets rain-fed without any effort on their part. Automatically their fields, they are irrigated by the rainwater. They don't have to go to the trouble of drawing water. So one category has to practice spiritual discipline. Yes, those who attain liberation through the grace of God do not have to labor. But they are a few indeed. Sri Ramakrishna says this fortune doesn't favor majority of the people. There are very few instances, and that also because they might have done tremendous austerities in their past lives. They might have done tremendous disciplines they must have undergone in their past lives. Therefore, this life, we only see this sudden change in their behavior, in sudden transformation in their attitudes of no God to suddenly become the greatest of the greatest recipient of the grace of God. So Sri Ramakrishna says, majority of the seekers, they have to practice, they have to struggle, they have to undergo whole lot of disciplines, spiritual disciplines. That is what happens with the majority of the lot. But there are a very few on whom God suddenly showers the grace. They are the Kripa Siddha. So Sri Ramakrishna telling us about the two types of perfect souls. Now he's talking about a third type. Then there is a class of ever perfect. There is a class of people like Naren and Rakhal who are born with the spiritual consciousness already awakened. They don't even have to struggle. They don't have to wait for being a Kripa Siddha. They are Nitya Siddha. They are born in each life with their spiritual consciousness already awakened. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, these are the kind of people. He gives an example. Say, for example, there is a spring of water. There is a spring whose outlet is obstructed. There is a spring of water. The outlet is obstructed. There is something is blocking it. Therefore, we can't see the gush of water from that spring. And what happens? While looking after various things in the garden, the plumber accidentally clears it and water gushes out. This is the case with the ever perfect souls. This is the case with the Nitya Mukta souls. They don't have to depend on, the water is already there. It is a spring. Only it has got blocked by some kind of obstruction. Now the gardener, the plumber in that garden who is maintaining the water flow, he also by accident, he just removes that clogged portion from that spring and the water gushes out. This is what happens with people who are Nitya Mukta. Yet people are amazed to see the first manifestations of the ever perfect soul's zeal for God. Right from childhood, their obstruction which has closed the water coming out, that obstruction is removed right from childhood. And as the water gushes out, people start wondering, my God, at this, he's such a small baby, he's such a small child, and look at his devotion for the Lord. Look at his zeal for the attraction to the Lord. How much love he has for the God, how much affection he has for the God, how much devotion this child has for the God. They say, where was all this devotion and renunciation and love? Where was this hidden in this child? Suddenly it has come forth, the child showing such a tremendous affection, such a tremendous devotion, such a tremendous zeal for the Lord, for the Divine Mother. And this is the case with the third category of the Siddhas, the Nitya Siddhas. They are born with spiritual consciousness already awakened. They don't have to struggle. They don't have to wait for the sudden grace from the God. No, they are ever perfect. They are Nitya Mukta. So these are the three types of Mukta Jivas that Sri Ramakrishna has told us about. One who has to struggle extremely hard, life after life after life. One who might have struggled life after life after life, but this birth, suddenly his spirituality, his devotion is awakened. His zeal for the love of God is awakened by the grace of God. And the third category, the ever perfect, they don't need any efforts. They don't have to wait for the grace of God. They already have that spiritual awakening already opened up for them. The spiritual yearning is already there in them right from the birth. So they are so close to the God. They are the perfect seekers towards the giver of the seekers. They are the giver of seekers towards liberation. They are the giver of path towards liberation. They are the givers of showing enlightenment to all the other strugglers. Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishnaaya. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Thakur, Jai Ma, Jai Swamiji.